Hemant Kamatgi. I work for Ford Motor Company. And if you are wondering what I'm doing here, yes, I lead the e-commerce division of Ford. We sell vehicles online as well. Along with vehicles, we sell accessories, parts, chargers as well online. So we built this e-commerce platform, a cloud-native platform from India, and we have a global team working in EU and North America. I have about 30 plus years of industry experience, been with retail companies like Target, Reliance Retail, and JCPenney before joining Ford Motor Company to lead the e-commerce division. Outside of work, I am a triathlete. I have participated in a few Ironman events and also an open water swimmer. Today, I'm going to talk about how we have leveraged AI and the tools, AI tools, to improve the productivity. But apart from that, I also want to give a contrarian view. What are the challenges we have faced along with that? So if you look at how we have evolved, talking about the AI tools, prior to 2023, 2022, everything was manual. It was more deterministic. We used right from writing stories, user stories or features, to development, that is coding, test automation. Of course, it was automated, but still there was code that was being written. Code, deployment, everything was manual. Fast forward to 2023, we started using AI to augment development. What we did in that space is, of course, in Ford, we use Copilot as the AI tool to assist the developer. So developers started using AI for code completion, right? You ask, make a comment, ask it to complete a function, it would do that. Or open up a source code. Based on that source code, it would write unit test cases if you wanted, right? Also, it helped us do some code documentation as well, and helped us fix some bugs in the code if you ask that right prompt. So it did help us in 2023 improve the quality of our deployment as well as improve our productivity. Come 2024, 2025, this year we are using Copilot in an agentic AI mode. In this mode, it generates everything, the front-end code, the back-end code, the test cases, the automation test cases, the deployment scripts, everything else. And if you point it to the right enterprise guidelines, it is able to generate code as well as per our enterprise standards. So if you look at it, prior to being on AI native development platform, a bulk of our time was used in coding and test automation. About 35% was used in coding and about 20%, right? These are all approximation, but you can see more than 50% of the time was spent in coding and test automation. Now what we see is that has shrunk with AI native development. It has shrunk to about 10%. So what we see is sprint on sprint, we have about 40% capacity to do more. So with that, we can do some higher order stuff like some strategic work, or as our product teams wants us to move more features in front of our customers, we are able to do that with this extra bandwidth that we are getting after using the AI tools. Well, our team structure as such hasn't changed much. It's still in that pyramid structure itself. We have a few architects at the top, then some lead engineers or anchors, then developers and testers, right? But this is a bit futuristic, but what I envisage is a few years from now, this might be replaced with what you see on the right side of the triangle, right? We'll have some supervisors or experts who are able to guide the agents, and these agents will write code, test cases, deployment scripts at all. Okay, I'll talk about how we have used agentic AI. In the entire development process, it is more holistic now. AI agents are able to generate code, QA test cases, review the code as well. So sometimes it's scary, right? This agent is able to write code, test cases, also review code, write documentation, right? But we do see lesser post-deployment errors and a better throughput quality. So it's a full cycle automation that we are undergoing now in our organization. Code generation, testing, deployment, and all using Copilot, but other companies have used Cursor, Windsurf, and so on and so forth. So this is a contrarian view, right? I'll talk about the on-the-ground challenges that we faced. So when we used this Agentic AI to do the development, one of the things in our CI pipeline, a task is to make sure that the code developer writes unit test cases which has a code coverage of more than 85%. A bit lenient, but we have kept it at 85%. Suddenly, what we started seeing was this went beyond 95%. Right? That's where we started looking at, okay, what's happening? So with agent writing all the unit test cases, we saw for 40 lines of code, there were 2,000 test cases which was generated. And from a developer's perspective, he was fine because his goal was to write test cases which covered more than 85% of the code. Now he is covering 90%, but he didn't care to see what was actually written in those 2,000 test cases. That was a real problem, right? And this was being shipped to production. It also meant that, our front-end code is all written on a monorepo. So if you look at the e-commerce journey, right from home page till order checkout, everything is on one repository. We have put it that way by design so that the code, the components are shared, there is reusability and improvement in productivity. With a lot of difficulty, this CI pipeline, what we have built, was taking less than 10 minutes, right? We had implemented remote caching and so on and so forth. But soon, it started becoming 20, 25 minutes, right? So the result was code inflation, but at the same time, what was getting shipped to production, there was code debt involved as well. So we started putting backlog items where we said, developers try to look at the code, right? So they didn't have time because now with the additional time available on hand, 40% extra time, we were building new features, right? So our CI times increased. So while our productivity was high, this is the challenge or the problem we had on hand. So we have put a small process in place now. We have made sure that code reviews are not done by the tool. Code reviews are done manually, right? You might use the Copilot agent to write code or write test cases. So at least when the code goes to production, if something is wrong on the incident bridge, we'll have folks who know what has been shipped to production. So we are trying to curtail that, avoid code reviews also being done by the tool. At the same time, what we are also trying to do is make sure the prompts are precise, right? Otherwise, this leads to bloating of the code, right? So we are trying to avoid larger prompts that way, right? So the code inflation is that way sort of avoided. So code inflation and debt tsunami, as we call it, right? This is for real. This was one challenge that we faced. Code as a cost center. Traditionally, you would have seen, right? Code is a long-term IP, right? And we derive value out of it. That's how code was seen. It was capitalized. But now what's happening is with so much of overrides and constant change happening, sprint over sprint by this AI tool, the shelf quality of the code has reduced, right? The shelf value of the code. So the accelerated pace of constant changes increases the development and maintenance cost of the organization. So slowly, I believe, right, organizations will start seeing code as a cost center, no longer as a capitalized IP. The third one is carbon is the new technical debt, right? With AI generated, the carbon cost will soon be regulated. We are already seeing it in EU. There's a regulation on it, right? It becomes, I mean, if you really look at how the tokens are generated, how the code is generated, you realize how much of energy is consumed and what its impact is on sustainability. In future, the backlog items will, apart from having a feature value, will also have a CO2 budget. Some cloud providers also monitor this cloud cost or the cloud usage. If you look at Microsoft Azure, on the Azure platform, there's a dashboard which talks about the CO2 emission. And if it exceeds, if some team internally exceeds the budget, CO2 budget that is allocated, their choice, I mean, their deployment is curtailed. It is stopped for a while. Companies are also trying to use the commercially available frameworks to understand the CO2 generated from the AI tools. And during peak hours, they are trying to stop the deployment. So carbon is the new technical debt. Lastly, I would like to say, in the past, when we wrote a code or wrote a test case, the output of that was a binary. Either the test case was a pass or a fail. Now, we are looking at a probabilistic model, so the outcome cannot be a deterministic one. So it is prudent for us to expect some errors, some deployment issues in production, and that's how we should start thinking towards, right? Have some error margin defined, because this is not going to be deterministic, and this is there to stay with us. I'll quickly go to this other thing. I mean, Ford is a 100-plus-year-old company. Though we have modernized most of the applications, we have quite a lot of workload still running on mainframe. So one of the tasks that we have is to reduce our mainframe footprint. So the challenge is the people who wrote the mainframe code are no longer with us. There is nothing documented. And the business folks who were involved while the development happened 30 years back, they are also no longer with the company. With all of them gone, the challenge we have is now how do we reduce the footprint? So this is where the Agentic AI helped us. So we do have an accelerator in-house built rather, which is able to look at all the COBOL code that is written and convert it into requirements. Now we have a choice. Look at the requirements and then sort of have a development team build a platform with the language and the framework of your choice. Or, I mean, this is going to take about 18 months or slightly more than that. The other way we are looking at is use this AI agent to convert line by line. Every COBOL code gets converted to Java, right? And then at least we are out of mainframe. Once we are out of mainframe, then have a team to refactor it and build it on the right design platform, right? So, design patterns. So this is another thing. I've talked to a few other companies where my friends work in these OEMs. This is a challenge, right? So this is how we are addressing the mainframe modernization challenge using Agentic AI. And lastly, we do use AI in observability as well. So we use a commercially licensed product. We ingest all the matrices, the events, the logs, the traces, everything into this product. And then this product is now able to detect anomalies, right? Looking at all the pattern of logs, it is able to detect, okay, this is an anomaly. And that's where we see a positive of Agentic AI being used in observability. We have also seen that it is able to predict any issue. So more than being reactive, it is able to predict issues, so we are able to open an incident bridge and get the issue fixed quickly. Noise reduction, right? There are a lot of cases where some of the alerts that are fired in production, they are all transient in nature. So in the past, we used to set up a bridge only to understand it is transient in nature. With Agentic AI, we have solved that problem, right? So noise, all these fraudulent alerts are taken out on its own. So our team members are able to focus more on observability. Along with this, AI agents also accelerate incident tracing. So especially in a distributed architecture, we are able to pinpoint exactly where the issue is, and we are able to have the right teams come on the incident bridge and sort of fix it. So as with development, I had a contrarian view. So I'll talk about the challenges with AI agents when used in observability. One of the challenges we are facing on the ground is with skill and learning. There is a skill gap, right? We do have a lot of folks still with the operation mindset. We have trained them to be SRE engineers, but expecting the same guys to be knowledgeable on AI is a challenge. Second, as an e-commerce platform, ours may be the state-of-the-art or a bleeding-edge technology platform, but we do interact with a lot of upstream and downstream applications which are on legacy platform. So building observability end-to-end using AI agents is a challenge that we are seeing. Scalability and performance. Yeah, the amount of telemetric data that it has to mine and scale and get some real-time inference, this is another challenge that we are facing. So all in all, we have found a lot of help in terms of development. Our product teams are happy. We are able to develop and release more features in front of our customers fast. But at the same time, there are challenges that I wanted to share with you all, what we faced in Ford. I'll pause there, and we have a stall here in S1. Do come to us. We have an office in Bangalore now. In Chennai, we had our office since 1998, and recently in March 2025, we have opened an office. We are working on some cutting-edge technology. Do visit us at S1 stall. So thank you. Thanks.